there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Silver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Silver.
It's Marshall Silver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Welcome home, my little chickadees. You know it's a good day when we get to talk about sex for most of the show. You know it's going to be a really good day. And it's going to be an awesome day. I'm very excited to have on today. It's somebody I've been wanting on the show for a very long time. Keith Yackey is a multifaceted mentor who's dedicated a significant part of his career to helping married men rejuvenate the passion and intimacy in their relationships. Alongside his expertise in real estate investment and motivational speaking, Keith's unique approach to relationship counseling has empowered countless men to rekindle romance and build deeper connections with their partners. So whether you're navigating your own relationship challenges or you're simply curious about improving personal connections, hey, guess what? You're going to find Keith's advice invaluable. His insights extend beyond just reinvigorating physical intimacy. They encompass building lasting emotional and spiritual bonds. A nice big Marshall Silver live in the chat. Welcome to Keith Yackey. Welcome aboard, my friend.
Marshall, how are you, man? Great to be here.
I am always awesome, man. And I am so excited to have you here. I believe we have met in passing, and yet we've not really developed a great any relationship or friendship. And I'm really excited about having you on the show and getting to know you better.
Yeah, man, I was just thinking about that. It was either 2016 or 2017. I was running that Amplify Live event out in Vegas, and we had connected there briefly. And yeah, you know who brought your name up most recently to me though is Taylor Welch.
He's awesome.
Well, yeah, when you were out here in when he was down here visiting you, then he and I had hung out quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
He and I were just on the phone today. I go, guess whose podcast I'm going to be on today? He goes, who? I said, Marshall Silver. He goes, oh, son of a gun. Tell him I said hello. So,
yeah, he's awesome. I adore Taylor. He's a good man.
Same.
So talk to me. You kind of changed direction specifically, and obviously we teach, in due respect, what we most need to learn.
Yeah.
And I. Every day, and I don't know if you follow me at all, but every day, my best decision of my entire lifetime was to ask my wife to marry me. And it is by above and beyond anything I can even explain to anybody. It made all of my life so much easier. And so I want to start off just with that acknowledgement that when a relationship, an intimate personal relationship is going well, you're unstoppable. Everything is easy. But when it's going badly and you're not fulfilled or they're not fulfilled or someone's unhappy in the relationship, everything's hell. And I don't think most people realize Napoleon Hill devoted an entire chapter in his book about being evenly yoked. about being with the right person and having that relationship be healthy. And he was talking not just about business relationships, he was definitely talking about intimate relationships, marriages. And so, so glad to have you on the show. This is such an important topic. How did you make the switch?
Well, it's so funny that our history is that we talked back then, because that was when this all went down. About almost 8 years ago, it was in between the Amplify 1, Amplify 2. So what happened was Jesse was like, hey, we were moving into our dream home, and she basically said, I'm going to help you move in and unpack everything, but then I'm out of here. And I was like, yo, what do you mean? She goes, yeah, man, you run your business, you come home and talk about your business, and then you fall asleep on the couch. And that's not what I signed up for. I've been asking you to change, but apparently you don't care. And then the greatest Hallmark card line of all time, she basically said, I think my life would be better without you in it. And her and my 2-year-old daughter at the time, I helped them pack into a little U-Haul, and they moved from Vegas. They moved out to California. And it was at that moment I realized, motherfucker, I'm the problem. And almost simultaneously, it feels simultaneously, it probably didn't happen simultaneously, but then I realized I'm the solution. And it was like this flood of information, like downloads came to me. It was like, Keith, you've been doing everything for everybody else, and you were trying to be attractive for her, but it was for her rather than doing it for yourself. I had let myself gain a bunch of weight. I was just not showing up the way I knew better, because I knew what it meant to attract women. I had hundreds of women in my life, but I realized I was missing the long-term attraction versus the short-term attraction. And I know, having had now helped hundreds and hundreds of guys and thousands that listen to our podcast, I know that rather, not just do we want to have sex, but we want to be wanted. And most guys have lost the simple truth that to be wanted, you kind of have to be wantable. And most dudes have slid down the hill of wantability since they said I'd do with their wife. And that's how this whole thing kicked off. I got her back and realized, shit, I might have a formula to help some dudes. And that's what happened.
I love it. You know, part of what I think the biggest challenge for men is we are wired to be productive. We're wired to get things done. And that's, at least from my point of view, how men establish their value in life is, what
Yeah.
could I get done? What can I produce? How much money can I make? How big can I appear in front of the rest of the world? And unfortunately, in present company included, oftentimes, at least on my part, I know I've got to consciously not take my wife for granted. And she is the best decision I ever made. Our marriage is amazing. Our sex life is as good as it could ever be. It's everything I want and more. And I just have to remember that she needs to be courted every day. She needs to be won over every day. She needs to be reminded every day. And so it's built into my DNA to, every chance I get, pat her butt, give her a squeeze when I'm walking by, kiss the back of her neck, tell her I love her 100 times a day if I can get it in. And again, I know that keeping that emotional bank account full is part of what keeps our relationship solid. And
100%.
again, it's so solid. And we're going to start talking about sex soon, I hope. One of the things that keeps it solid is that, my wife realizes that while our appetites are similar, they're not the same. And I would say that I have a bigger appetite for sex than she does, but because we have this healthy relationship, she takes care of my needs, I take care of her needs, and everybody wins. There's times when she's not interested in sex. She just says, do you need attention? And I don't know about any guy listening to this program right now, but I'm telling you, the fact that my wife loves me at that level where she recognizes that may be something that I need, even when she's not interested, says everything. What's your take on all that?
Your wife sounds like an exceedingly wise woman, because
She's
oftentimes
amazing.
that's just what we want as dudes. We want attention. But you know what I discovered in not only helping myself, but all my buddies, they all have businesses. And so, Taylor, his head sales dude's about ready to get a divorce. He goes, Keith, can you help him? And these were my very first clients. I go, yeah, I think I can. And I would just take him on and show him what I did to get Jesse back. And ultimately was building myself into that man who understands a couple things. Number one, no guy likes to be sexually rejected, but they would look differently at their wife if they understood the same sexual rejection they feel is what their wife feels when they're emotionally neglected. So sexually rejected for dudes feels the same way as emotionally neglected for women. And once they realize, oh my God, I may not want to sit around and get all emotional with my wife. A lot of women are like, hey, I don't think about sex as much as you do, and I'll do it for you. But they're like, no, I want her to want it. I want her to look like what the ladies in the movies are doing. You know, I want that. It's like, well, if you want that, you're going to have to, like you said, make sure that her emotional bank account is so overflowing. But most guys don't know how to do this and stay in their power. Most guys try to do this because they hear what you and I are saying, and then they go to some real weird, emasculating bullshit that's being peddled by the world right now. And I think it's hurting men, and men have tried, because like, hey, buy her more gifts, say more around, say yes, take out the trash, do the dishes, happy wife, happy life. These guys are hearing this and they're going, I fucking tried that for a week or two, Keith, and it didn't work. And it's like, you don't try this shit to see if it works. You do these things because you have high standards, and that's who you are. And it's not because you're getting anything in return. And that's the energy most guys do. They start missing the sex, which I think is the fruit. But really what it is, it's just burying, hey, it says, hey, your roots all fucked up, bro. It's just jacked up. And you can fix it by these simple things and become this dude. Because guess what? She said yes to you in the beginning. You are her type. You've just done a lot of unattractive things that have made those chemicals just drain out of her. And there's really easy, simple ways to get it back. But I think your wife sounds absolutely wise, and you seem like a really happily laid dude. So well done, Marshall.
Yes. Well, and I think that the biggest challenge, I think feminism and this whole idea of equality is such bullshit. We're not equal. I'm not equal with my wife. She's not equal with me. We're different beings. And we're very different in what we need. We're very different in how love shows up for us. We're just different human beings. And I think that this whole concept that women and men are equal, and again, don't get me wrong, I don't think my wife is any less than me, and I know you know this, and I don't think that I'm any better than she is. We are different. We have different needs. And, I think that, part of the challenge for men is that because we're wired to be productive, when things aren't going well in our life, we think if I'm more productive, then everything will get back to, being good. More productive, and I give her more flowers if I'm more productive, and I take her out to her favorite restaurant more often. And unfortunately, that's not the order people receive things. I believe that it's sex. I believe first and foremost, it's security, that people need to know there's no divorce pending. They're not getting ready to leave me. They're not cheating on me with their secretary. They're not, hunting elsewhere. But I think beyond that, the next thing though is essence. If the wife's not getting the hugs and the attention and the compliments and the emotional feed in her bank account, there's no way the flowers or the trips or the clothes or the manicure, pedicure, none of that matters anymore. But I think that the biggest challenge is on the men's part. So many men are wired to think that they need to have a better relationship with their wife by things being more equal. She's got to pay her fair share. I think that's where a lot of guys tank, is they don't realize, no, you're partners. My wife doesn't work. She doesn't have to work. She has open bank account. She has access to everything. Why? Because if I don't treat her well, she gets everything anyway. That's how divorce works. Take it from a pro. And so, for me, that's the thing, is that we're not equals. We have very different roles in this relationship. And I know one of the biggest things that Erica and I did is I decided when we met to have a very different relationship. I decided to have no secrets. And from the beginning, I told her, I said, look, I am really rich. I am really handsome. I am really funny. I'm really modest. That's my favorite quality about me. And because of all those things, I've dated a lot of women. And I need you to know that, because if we walk down the street and somebody walks up to me and they're odd with me, I probably dated them. And she said, oh, you think you're a hot shot? I went out with like 3 guys in college. And I went, oh, you slut. I can't date you. You're a slut. No, never mind. I can date you because you're a slut. That's why I want to date you. The thing for me, though, is that I have friends of mine that have broken off their relationships with ideal women because the woman wouldn't pick up lunch once in a while. And I'm going, dude, make so much money you never notice.
Yeah.
Be so financially successful, you wouldn't dream of asking her to pick up the tab for lunch. It's just a part of the process. What do you think? Are we equal? Are we not equal? Are men better than women or women better than men? What do you think?
I'm so glad we're not equal, and I'm so glad that we're different, because I'll tell you, the greatest soothing ointment on the masculine soul is when it dips into a pool of femininity.
I call that the wussification of America.
Well, it also is very healing for a masculine man to be around that feminine energy, and it makes him whole without being a wussy. I'm not talking about guys trying to be like girls. That's a bunch of bullshit. I have very similar beliefs that you do, man, and that is there's two fucking genders. There's an idiot in the White House, and the more we can become free as actual individuals, free over who we are and free in our abundance and free in our resources and independent, we will stop accepting all this exceeding bullshit that's happening. So women and men there's a femininity to them that is attracted to us. It's an energy as a man. You have your virtue, who you are. Do you do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it without fault? Do you get pouty when your wife rejects you? Like, these are the things. Men become pouty little bitches. They don't do what they say they're going to do. And so when the trust goes down, Marshall, you know this, the lust goes down. When the trust goes down, the lust goes. She goes, hey, I can't trust this guy to even fucking be home on time. I can't trust this guy to actually launch the business like he says. I can't trust this guy. Who the fuck is going to trust a dude that wants to split lunch? What the fuck is going on with today? No, absolutely not. My wife's got open to everything as well. And so I'm with you on that one. If you got friends like that, we need to go give them in a nice rear naked choke and show them some manly shit, because that's some bullshit.
Well, they don't get it. In this I had a particular friend who's dating this gorgeous girl. She's got her own business. She's making money, and she's funny. She's charming. She's kind, as far as I could tell. And one day he comes to me and I said, so where's Cindy? He goes, yeah, we broke up. I said, why'd you break up? He said, because she always made me pay for lunch. I said, are you punking me? Is there a camera? Are you waiting for a reaction from me? He said, no, I just don't think it's fair. I think you need to establish that early on, that it's an equal relationship. I said, you do realize that you're going to have to go meet somebody else. And if you make them pay for lunch from the beginning, they're not going to date you. They're not going to be interested. There's too many guys that are willing to pay for lunch. And I said, but more than that, the challenge is not that she's not paying for lunch. The challenge is you have money issues. And I think that that's where a lot of relationship challenges come up for men. They don't realize what they have is a fear that they can't produce enough to keep this person around. And the fact is, if they have that fear, it's probably true.
Yeah,
it's probably true. And I tell people, money cures most things. Doesn't mean it's going to make, if you're an ass to your wife, she's not going to stick around the richer you get. She's going to take more of your money when she leaves. But the fact of the matter is, though, that I think most men don't realize you got to make them safe first. You just 100%. Said it. You got to have trust. They got to know. And you don't even have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent and predictable. If they know what they're getting, then okay, that's what I'm getting.
Yeah. If this happened just like the other day, I was at my favorite place eating tacos here in Dana Point, and my wife.
That's not a metaphor, right?
Depends on the day.
No doubt. It's a Tuesday, so it could be a metaphor. It's a Taco Tuesday.
It's always Taco Tuesday in our house. Hey,
now we're getting somewhere, having some fun talking about sex.
Yeah, man. So my wife calls me and she goes, "Yo, can you bring me home the pork chop I love?" I'm like, "Oh, not even a problem. All good." I get home, I totally forget it. They're all excited, and they're like, "Where?" I go, "I'm so sorry, I forgot." They're like, "That is so not like you." Like, that's the one time I make a mistake, because everything else is so. It's got to be. You've got to be able to bank on me. I call it the redwood, and you got to be immovable and unshakable, and that way they can dance under the shade of your branches. It is your job as a man to provide, protect, to produce, and also to be this player that stands in his power with a woman. When she tests you, people test what they want to trust. And if a woman tests you and you can't pass the test, she goes, "Fuck, I got the runt of the litter." And that's what happens. A lot of guys, they stop showing up. They stop becoming the best version of themselves. They stop growing. They stop hiring mentors to help them see what they can't see so they can go live where they've never lived before. Like, guys have got it so fucking backwards. And so all I'm doing is yelling into the ether, the gospel of married game that says, yo, motherfucker, your wife wants to unleash her inner slut. She just can't with you. She would with me. She would with Marshall. She can't with you. And it's fixable.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's the biggest challenge too, is that you hit upon something. Women, if men are wired to be productive, women are wired to be attractive. That's part of their self-esteem and their makeup is they want to know I can attract a guy, let alone this guy. And so if you're the kind of a guy, because you love your wife, I love my wife, and I pray she's not watching right now, because sometimes I say no to her just to be sure she knows she's got to be charming. She's got to win me over, because I know from the, human psychology of what my life has been about, that I've got to be fat prey. I've got to be the lion that's just sitting there watching the lioness who's kind of being irritating, but she's attempting to win me over. And if I'm won over too quickly, she'll think that I'm pathetic, that I'm needy, that I'm weak, and it won't be sexy. Men complain all the time, well, she loves the bad boy. It's not that she loves the bad boy. She loves the idea of being able to win over somebody she didn't think was interested. And so you've got to let them win every single day. And it all comes down to what you were just talking about, a guy being secure in himself. And it's in my experience, being somebody who wants a relationship, not needs one.
There you go.
I prefer to be in a relationship with my wife. When she tells me she loves me forever, I know what she really means. She loves me forever today. And that tomorrow is a brand new day. And if I don't bring the pork chop, if I don't bring the meat often enough, she's going to find some guy that's got the meat. And so, I don't make promises that I don't keep. And I'm sure it's the same with you, that you just spaced out. You were in bliss, excited to get home to your wife, but you spaced out. But I bet that doesn't happen again.
No, not for another year. Like it's so few and far between, because like, if I'm going to say I'm going to do something or be somewhere, it actually has to matter. And so that she can go, wow, I can trust this guy. But it's not just like, hey, I told you I'd hang the picture on the wall and I forgot to do it. When she sees that, which happened to me, 4 or 5 years ago when we were moving into a new spot, and she goes, hey, can you do it? Took me a couple of weeks. And she's like, I don't want to nag, but dude, you said. And what happens is then, guys, we start getting defensive. And dude, nothing's killed more lady boners than a man's defensiveness. And that's the truth. But here's what happens is she goes, shit, this is just indicative of everything else he does. He says he's going to get in shape. He says there's going to be more money. He says we're going to move into the spot. He says, but this motherfucker never does what he actually says he's going to do. And then he starts to expect and entitled. A lot of guys that just expect and entitled. They're like, aren't I supposed to just have push button pussy? I got married. What the hell? And it's like, no, dude, be the guy that understands how to get her to want that. You have to learn how to create. That's why we call it married game. I had sex with hundreds of women before I met my wife. I understood game, but most married men have no fucking game. And dude, Marshall, who needs game more? The guy that can go out in the world and have 1 million women, or the guy that is already committed to one and he's got to be able to learn how to shoot that shot? I think it's the married guy, and nobody's really talking about it. And we've got a real systematic system of how we teach guys how to actually not only just have game, but we've gamified it within our community so that guys actually play the game and they continue to get results, and they start releasing what we call tigers when their wife actually becomes a tiger in the sack. And no greater feeling than a man to have that thing happen to him. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the idea that it's a game and that every game is winnable, because I think that you just hit upon what you just said. The guy says, hey, I'm married. This is my marital right to have you whenever I want you. And while I agree unmet needs get met, if you're a husband or a wife and you're not taking care of the needs of your significant other, they're going to get met somewhere else. A coworker is going to be extra kind to your wife, and because she's not getting attention at home, she's going to go to lunch with them, and it's going to be friendly at first, and then after a while, she's going to go, "Oh, you understand me in a way my husband doesn't understand me," and that's what women are attracted to, is that emotional connection.
Yeah.
So, well, you're, going, you're my wife, you're supposed to have sex with me. But I think the other piece is that my great friend John Gray, who wrote Venus and Mars, I love John. I think he's a great guy. I also don't agree with a lot of what he says, as I don't agree with a lot of my friends on everything they say. But one of the things that I do agree with is he has a line in Venus and Mars: men are microwaves, women are crockpots.
Mm.
I completely agree with that, which is why I make sure that my wife's crock pot percolates all day. I make sure that I'm leaving Post-it notes inside of her makeup bag. I'm making sure that I'm text messaging her early in the day when I know I'm not going to see her to the end of the day, that just says, "I cannot wait to hold you in my arms, kiss your neck, bite you lightly," ugh, and just tease her all day long. Because by the time I get home, she's dripping and she's just a puddle. And I know it's because I did what I needed to do earlier, not what I thought she needed to do. Not, if you have rights, you set yourself up to be wronged. And so the married guy that thinks, this is my marriage, you're required, this is the only place I can get this, so you're required to give it to me, is just dumb, because
Yeah.
that's how the machine is wired. So, yeah, I actually believe it's harder, to get back to your point, for the single guy than it is for the married guy to exist. A single friend of mine says, "You're married, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Man, I'm so jealous of you." He said, "You get to come home to the same wife every night. And it's just consistent. It's the same girl night after night after night, and you have sex with the same person. And there's no variety, but you know what pleases her, and she knows what pleases you, and it's consistent. Well, me, I got to go out and find brand new girls every single night. They're different, they're exotic, and they're young, they're old, and they're different shapes, and they're different talents. And but you get the same one every day." And I'm going, I'm not sure this was a pep talk. I'm not sure how this went, but all jokes aside, I would agree that what a lot of guys don't know, one person, no drama, absolute satisfaction, absolutely trumps 100 different women, 1,000 different women every day, because uh, there's no drama. And that's the biggest thing for me. And I don't know about anybody else. That is my number one quality in a relationship: no drama, no arguments. If you got a beef with me, bring it to me. Tell me what you need. If I can, I will. If I don't want to, I'll tell you I don't want to. Then you'll have to decide: do I stay and tolerate not getting what I want, or do I go elsewhere and find it, and vice versa? But no drama. And we don't allow drama in our household. And we don't allow drama in our friends. If we have, friends or couples, we've had a couple that we like a lot. They're fun to be near. For whatever reason, she just berates him pretty consistently. And I
Yeah.
told my wife, I don't want that around you. I don't want that around me. And I most certainly don't want our children thinking that is an option for relationship.
Yeah.
So let's to sex. Let's imagine a guy's in a sexless marriage and they're both tolerating each other. The hardest part, obviously, is to turn it around, to get it moving in the right direction. What are some things you teach men that are in stale relationships where maybe the sex is gone and she's just completely shut down? He didn't cheat on her. There wasn't some major offense. It was just a bunch of little stuff. What do you suggest? How do we get started?
First and foremost, you got to take ownership and go. I believe that every relationship problem is 95% the dude's fault. And I think it's because I believe that he's the leader and that she's the mirror. And at some point, he's dropped his leadership of this relationship at some point or another and didn't know how to pick it up. So I'd say, listen, take ownership. And this is where we say, I am the problem, which means I'm the solution. And that it should give you hope to go, well, fuck, we've had close to 400 guys come through our entire program, like soup to nuts, the real deep program. I've met maybe 10 or 12 of the wives. We don't ever have to talk to the wife. It's about the dude. So that's number one. I'm the problem. I'm the solution. The other thing he's got to understand, this is a critical thing he's got to understand, and that is her response does not dictate my standard. Her response does not dictate my standard, meaning I'm not just taking the trash out so that I can get laid. I'm not just babysitting my kids so my wife can look at it and go, wow, that's so hot. I'm doing these things because this is just who I am. We have somebody that takes the trash out of my house. I don't do a lot of cooking and cleaning because we have a chef. We have these things, but it doesn't matter. It's still the energy, Marshall, of the guy that says, yo, I'm going to show up as if this was a brand new woman that had new car smell, that was an absolute dime walking into my life. I'm treating my wife the same as her, because the reason why she's probably not responding to you the way you want is because she's lost attraction for you. And attraction doesn't necessarily mean you got biceps and abs. It means she's not leaning in towards you. She's being pushed away. And if you want a wife to lean into you, and like the guys who are now, these poor brothers that their sex life in their life has gone away due to them becoming unattractive, due to the rise of feminism, due to just emotional disconnectivity. And they're in jerking off to porn and like, well, dude, the ladies on these movies really seem like they want this guy. How come my wife doesn't act like that? Well, you got to ask yourself a couple things. Are you wantable? Are you truly the most attractive version of you? And it's got to be for you. These are the things. And then a very quick test of 5 dials that every woman is checking off on their dude. But those are the first sentiments, Marshall. Like, you got to own it. You're the problem. You got to live up to a standard in it, not her response. And you got to become the most attractive version of you for you, because that's what she wants. She wants to be with the guy that's the standard, not the fucking runt of the litter.
Well, and you know what you just said, I don't agree with it, by the way.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what I don't agree with is, yes, I agree that men have way more power than they realize. But
Okay.
the part I don't agree with, and I'm sure you agree with this, there are some women that are flat out evil.
Yeah.
And so, playing the devil's advocate, the guy that you just told that to, that, you're the majority of the problem. Yes, his behavior probably is, but there are circumstances where the guy changes everything, becomes what most people would say the ideal husband, just absolutely perfect, because her self-esteem is so low. She responds the opposite. The man becomes better, and because she doesn't think she deserves a better guy, it still tanks the relationship. But I tell guys,
well,
and I tell people this.
Hold on. I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to interrupt you. Then he's not 95% the problem at that point. He's 100% the problem. Because
Understood.
He's not willing to leave. That's why he now is the problem. So I want that's the clarity. Just so I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure you're clear on what I'm saying.
No, that was the same caveat that I was talking about.
Okay,
because
good.
100%. So it's the employee that is disgruntled with their employment, and they start getting frustrated, and they say, well, F my boss, they don't take care of me anyways. They barely pay me. I'm only going to do as much as I'm paid for. I'm not going to do any more. And so they barely show up. And when they do show up, it's not quality anyway. That's the same as a bad marriage. And I tell that employee this thing I would tell a guy: be the best possible employee, best possible husband you can be. And if it doesn't work out there, guess what's going to happen? Somebody else is going to steal you away.
That's right.
Some other boss is going to say, your employer doesn't appreciate you. Come work for me. If you are a good guy and you are a good man and you are, treating your wife with respect, I promise you're going to go out in public and your wife's not going to give you love. And the other women are going to look and go, my God, he seems like an amazing catch. What's wrong with that girl? And they're going to steal you away. So there's no downside to being a better guy. There's no downside to being a better man. And so, with that caveat, I completely agree with you that the guy's responsible. And if the guy doesn't want to be responsible, well, there's the challenge. You're a wimp. And why would anybody think that's sexy? So you said it earlier, and I'm glad you did, because we didn't get banned on the platform earlier. We're probably going to get banned sooner or later because we do share the same opinion. My experience has been with all this nonsense about multiple genders and this massive confusion being forced on impressionable young minds of, you get to choose what gender you are. That's mental illness. That's what that is. It's mental illness. And again, if you're an adult and you want to live your life in a particular way, God bless you. I support that. I don't necessarily have to enter your neuroses to be your friend. So don't expect me to, and don't demand that I do, because I still want to like you as a human being, even when I don't agree with you. But the fact of the matter is that in that process, the the demasculating process that this is of confusing people about men being men and women being men is just another way, in my opinion, to control people.
Yeah.
And if I can be confused about who I am, if you can take away my masculinity, then guess what? I'm not a good soldier anymore. I can't defend my household. And I think that on a broader, deep state level is the biggest challenge going on inside the dynamic of relationships these days. Is men and women are just flat out confused. They don't know what their roles are anymore. And again, call me misogynistic, call me sexist. I don't give a damn. It works for me. My wife and I have very specific roles. I'm the primary breadwinner, and she's the primary caregiver. And so I make sure everything's covered. And she thanks me every day. Yesterday we were coming back from my kid's Little League game, and she said, "I just want to thank you for all you do for our family, and not just for providing a house and food and everything else, but the kids get a quality of life they wouldn't have gotten with a different dad, guaranteed." And so I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. She watches out for everything. She watches out for me. She watches out for them. All I got to do is provide. Okay, thank you. What an easy task. Do you think that most men and women are confused about what a healthy role in a relationship would be?
Yeah. I think that most men don't really understand what it means to be a man, in the sense of, dude, you have to stand up for what you believe. You have to have an opinion. I always tell people, if you want to get your ex back, because we help people get their exes back, if you want to get your ex back or your sex back, you got to get your backbone and your ball sack back, bro. And I think that a man has a backbone that he calls out. He goes, "Oh, you guys say there's more than two genders? That's obviously fucking crazy. We're not even going to entertain it." And we now, in this society, it's now on our shoulders. And what a joy that we get to stand up and be like, no, we're actually going to be beacons of light, and we get to show the way. And I think that by showing the way, other men are watching and going, dude, maybe I should actually take this provision thing a little more serious. Maybe I should take this producer thing a little more serious. Hey, fuck, I really am a part of the slave class. Maybe I should wake the fuck up so I can become independent. And these are all, not only are they just hyper masculine traits, these are very attractive traits to a female. These are what make women love men, that they will go and hunt down the fucking food, that they will protect against the enemy or expand the border. This shit turns women on at their core, because they go, he's doing that so I can continue to have babies, and we can continue to build more farmers and hunters and all the fucking beautiful things. So yeah, man, I just think it's always been happening. I think it's always been happening. It's just now the coddled United States has been forced to see what the real world has kind of been like for a while. I've traveled all over the globe: Africa, Asia, Middle East, South America, Central America. I've been and seen a lot of shit. And I realized, dude, America isn't just the world. It's a very beautiful part of the world. And what our founding fathers did, who happens to be my great grandfather, was this Charles Carroll of Carrollton. His signature off the Declaration of Independence is on my arm, and he hangs up in my office over there. These were the bravest, smartest, most fucking daring men alive.
Yeah,
so I honor them. And we get to be them again in the sense of, fuck you to everybody who says that this isn't true, because come on now. So we get to be example.
Yeah, and I think that part of the challenge is that it's just easier to be emasculated. It's just easier. If I say, there couldn't be a better example than Leah Thomas, somebody that cannot win against men, who says, no, I'm a woman, let me compete against women. Well, yeah, no kidding. You're probably going to do better against women. Your whole body is different. You're genetically superior. You're bigger. You have more muscle mass. Everything about you athletically is going to likely allow you to perform better than a person whose genetics is different. And I think that comes into the same thing in relationship, is that guys just say, hey, it's easier to not have to be the man and provide and stand up and make sure that I'm physically fit and wise enough and enough of a warrior to protect. Yet down in San Diego, where my beach house is, there is what used to be called the San Diego Wild Animal Park, now called Safari Park. And I remember I was on a tour with a tour guide, and we're driving through the park, And this woman was brilliant. I just loved it. I wish I had had a recorder with me when she was talking, because we're looking out at the Serengeti there, and we're watching, you know, all the different animals, the lions, and, you know, just all the different animals. And in the predators, there's like a male with all of the females around him. And then there's, you know, like 2 or 3 males off to the side by themselves with no females. And, you know, when I asked the tour guide, what is that? And she says, well, that's the alpha male inside the enclosure. And I said, so what's going on? She said, well, all the females just want to be near him because he provides not only protection, he provides sex to them. He provides everything they need. So they don't mind sharing him because they're all devoted to him because he's the one. I said, well, what about those guys over there? She said, oh, they're getting drunk and they're talking about how bad women are and they're just carrying on, but they don't get laid and they don't have any companions and they got to hang out with the boys. and I think about that a lot because that's the human condition. You know, I have male friends, you know, and I'd love to have you and I become good friends. I appreciate the banter. I appreciate your opinions. I appreciate us not having to agree to be able to have a discussion. One of the things that I know, I don't do guys' night out. I don't have any desire to go out and have a guy's night out. Once in a while, I'll play poker with you. Yeah, that sounds fun to me. Yeah, you know, if my wife doesn't want to watch the game and we want to watch the game, so be it. But I know guys that it's a part of their life. Every Tuesday and Thursday, they're hanging with their guy friends. And I'm going, why would you? Same thing with my wife. You know, she says, hey, all the mothers are getting together. All the wives are going to get together. My response is, don't they like their husbands? You know, why is that more attractive to them than getting together? She said, I don't know. It's just what they want to do. And then she'll come back from hanging out with ladies and she'll go, I just missed you. I just talked about you the whole time and I missed you. And you know, I don't think I'll be doing that a whole lot. Every once in a while is fine, but I don't want to do it a whole lot. And I think that, again, it's that willingness to step into that masculine and feminine energy, own it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not sensitive. It doesn't mean I don't have a feminine side. And it doesn't mean my wife doesn't have a masculine side. She does. It also means, though, we know our roles. Do you think that the role confusion is intentional by our government, our deep state, and, you know, all that's being pushed upon us now, all the transgenderism and everything and again, I want to be very clear on my opinion here. It's one thing for someone to feel a way about themselves. I support that. Whatever makes you happy, as long as it's not forcing other people to change their behaviors or their opinions or what they believe in, I'm all for it. But the moment you tell somebody else they've got to step into your neurosis, they've got to step into your reality and support your reality because it's yours, that's where the line is crossed. I don't even allow salt rocks in my bedroom because it's not my opinion. So my wife keeps her salt rock on her counter in the bathroom just because, again, we have a different opinion in that area. Do you think this demasculization is intentional by our government and our leadership?
It looks like it is. I mean, I don't know how else you explain it. It's so damn awkward and so weird. I was born in the 70s. I grew up in the 80s where there was a lot of American pride. And, you know, now it seems like everything that they said they're doing by the book to try and make us a weak, emasculated, just puddle of nothing. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It seems as if that's the way things are going. And I don't even think we know a fraction of what's really happening. And it already looks like what other explanation like actually makes sense, especially when you see everything that's happened the last 4 years. And then you watch the guy who's as damn near as popular as you could ever be. And yeah, so it is the same. It's the same that like it was in Rome. It's the same like it was in every era has had those who are trying to put under the thumb others. It's what every great story is about. And we just happened, I feel like as Americans, up until this last 4 or 5 years, we were very blissfully ignorant as to what was going on. And it has become pretty clear that there is an agenda that is not pro family, unity, freedom, liberty. And that goes against everything that you and I stand for, and probably every listener on here. And the one thing that I feel like, if I was the enemy, if I was the evil entity, this evil thing stirring up this, whatever it is, I would go right after the family, the smallest nuclear unit. I would take down the husband. I'd make him so distracted. I'd make him feel like he's got burdens he can't bear, so that he can't even show up for his wife. He doesn't even know his wife's favorite fucking food or color or radio or album that she likes. Doesn't know anything about her, stops taking her out, has no one-on-one time with her, and people are broke as shit. And yeah, dude, I think they're going after the family unit, because if you can break that thing up, if a kid looks at a mom and a dad that were saying they were built forever, and 2 years later they're now arch enemies, that will really fuck the psyche of a generation up. So yeah, I do think it has something to do with that. Yes.
Well, without a doubt, confused people are easy to control. And if somebody has doubts about themselves, doubt about their role, again, there was a big to do in 2016 about Trump saying something in a locker room to another guy, grab that woman. And I'm thinking, well, put me in jail too, then, I guess, and put all of my manly friends in jail, because Lord knows that is how we talk in the locker room.
It's actually how women talk too. If you actually are around enough women who are naked, and I've interviewed a lot more naked women than most men.
Man, you're my hero. The thing that I believe is that is the challenge, is that we're walking on eggshells now. And again, it's refreshing. When I launched this broadcast, I told everybody involved, I said, I'm going to get deplatformed. We're going to get deplatformed. And the only thing that stops a Joe Rogan or somebody like that from getting deplatformed is they're too big to deplatform. I said, but all the little guys, they'll deplatform us the moment we say we like Trump, or there's only two genders, or we speak out against, what's going on in the world, and us, the warmongering, and 8 million illegal, let me be very clear, illegal people, mostly criminals, entering our country, because the ones that aren't criminals come in legally. It's just a fact. That sooner or later, if we say the truth, we're going to get attacked. Except say the truth anyway. And if you get deplatformed, be deplatformed. I had 155,000 followers on Twitter before Elon Musk bought it. And I have always been a Trump supporter. I've shared the stage with him on numerous occasions. I've been backstage alone with Trump when nobody else was there. He had no reason to pose or pretend he was anything other than he was. And I saw the real man and liked him. I didn't like certain things about him. I don't have to, but I liked the guy. And I liked the fact that he didn't need my approval. And I think that's one of the biggest things that guys can do, is get to the place where they don't need people's approval, because they like themselves. And not that they like themselves in a hedonistic or a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Narcissistic. Narcissistic fashion. They don't like themselves in that way. They like themselves at night when they're laying there in the quiet evening, and they say, yes, I was kind to my wife, I was kind to my children, I did my very best all day today. That guy can't be swayed, because he doesn't need somebody else to validate his opinion of himself. And it sounds to me that that's what your program does, is we say, look, yes, I'm going to help save your marriage, maybe even get your ex back. You may discover by the time we're done, you don't want your ex back, because there's a reason she's your ex, but I'll show you how to get her back by being the best possible version of you. And, and that was the thing for me, Keith, is that I had a very warped idea of what a relationship was supposed to be. All my life, I dated blonde hair, blue eyes, with very large blue eyes. And that was always my, criteria. And at one point I just said, that doesn't work. That's a really bad way to determine a mate. And I asked God for one thing. I said, I want someone kind. I don't want drama anymore. I don't want a woman that creates drama out of nothing. I'd like somebody who avoids it. And so when I met my wife, she was 24 years younger than me. And I thought, this is probably not going to work out, but I'm going to treat her as if she's my wife. I'm going to practice being a really good husband, even if I have no intention of marrying ever again, let alone this person. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that from the beginning, I treated her with that level of respect and kindness and focus, because now she's my wife. We've been together 17 years. And again, best decision I ever made. My life is remarkable because of this human being. My kids are remarkable because of the relationship that we have. And, they get to see that every day. And I don't know about you. I was raised in a broken home. My wife was raised in a broken home. Very few people aren't raised in a broken home anymore. So we don't really know what is a good relationship. What does it look like? How do you handle conflict? What do you do when, unmet needs aren't getting met? I don't care for church. I just don't. It's not my thing. My wife complete freedom to do whatever she wants to do because it's important to her.
Yeah.
And again, she doesn't understand some of the other things that are important to me, but she lets me have those things because they're important to me. She says, okay, that's great. Go do your thing. But, make sure you come back home and we have what we have. What are some additional things besides working on themselves that a guy could instantly, let's imagine somebody's in a decent relationship, but part of the spark is gone. Give me some gambits and strategies that a guy could do to just make the relationship better.
Well, I'll hold up the 5 dials for them real quick, and they can ask themselves on a scale of 1 to 10 on each of these 5 things how they're doing. It will literally tell them exactly where they're at in their marriage, and why they are having amazing, wild sex. Like my wife and I, our sex is better than it's ever been. We believe honeymoon sex is for minor leaguers, and sex gets better with age, and we're living testaments of that. And I haven't seen it else anywhere. That's just what we're living because of these 5 dials. It's the dials I look at every single day. Number 1, every mom, every woman is looking at their husband and judging, is he a good dad? Here's why I know this. And this is why, dude, moms will love their kids more than their husbands all day, every day, all the time for one reason. It's that because you don't see moms divorcing kids. You see moms divorcing dads 100% of the time. And if you're a dum-dum and you don't realize this lady is literally wired to raise these kids so they can survive and thrive. And they want to see that you are a part of that game, offering guidance and nurturing and love and being involved, not just saying, hey, I bring home the bacon, you fucking handle everything else, but you're actually an involved dad. She's judging you on that. Is the best friend dial. We call it the partner dial. Are you your wife's best friend? Do you show up for her in a way that's meaningful? Like you said, you don't go to church. I don't go to church. But if my wife wanted to go to church and that was meaningful to her, God bless you. Run, have at it. I like doing my thing and using supplements to sit on my couch and go into another zone by myself. She's like, you're a better man for it. I don't know what you're doing, but God bless you. And this is this best friend. I care about her. And I'm not just listening so I can get some sex later. I'm listening because that's who I am. And this is that emotional connection. She can tell early on guys cared about this and they were either faking it or sandbagging it. And she can tell. Third, producer dial. Start producing like a motherfucker. Nobody wants to be in a Corolla with cloth seats in a 1-bedroom apartment forever. You got to be going somewhere. No one wants to jump on the train to nowhere. The 4th and 5th one are very simple. The player dial. When's the last time you took your wife on a date and that was meaningful? And I say meaningful, I'm talking, imagine you're single right now and the hot chick you wanted to bang in high school shows up in your DM and says, wow, looks like life is amazing. Let's connect. You go, cool. It's a date. What date would you put her on? How would you show up for her? You'd probably put a ton of effort in because you're trying to get laid again. Put some fucking effort in. Don't have a dad bod. Smell good. Brush your teeth. Have some style. Actually give a shit about having fun. You don't have to be a funny guy and a stand-up comedian and a hypnotist and all this other stuff. Take her to environments that are actually fun so she can let her hair down. This is how you bring out this inner slut in your wife to want you again. And then 5th, last thing you got to check, and that is you got to stand in your power. I mean, you got to do what you say you're going to do. You can't be seeking validation from her and slipping into the mom matrix and asking her for a cookie or nookie or a gold star because you did so good on your test today. You got to ask for what you want. You don't edit or audit your shine or who you are because you're afraid that if you say something that disagrees with her, she's going to take your little crumb of pussy away. And dude, you can't be seeking permission and asking for permission for shit that hey, if I want to go hang out with the guys, I don't got to go. I got to check with my wife and see if I can go. I'm going to check the schedule to make sure are my responsibilities covered? Are we good? I'm going to go hang out and go have a good time with the guys. The bottom line is if you can check those 5 dials and rate yourself on a 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 1 to 10 on all those, You're free to find out why your wife probably isn't giving you all the sex and love that you want or showing up the way you want. She's not initiating. She's not enthusiastically participating. And you probably feel like she cares more about the spreadsheets than she does the bed sheets. And those $5, you can crank right up and instantly. Oh, and all of this with giver energy, Marshall. This isn't, I'm not doing this to get anything. I'm doing this because this is who the fuck I am. Any woman blessed to be with me gets this guy. And that's why the woman who's blessed enough to be with you actually feels blessed to be with you, because you are that guy. That's the guy we all need to become.
And what I also don't think guys realize, and you keep coming back to the same thing, don't use strategies with your wife. Be a different person.
Yes.
And it's the same thing in every area of our life. Don't do anything for money. Do something that you love doing, first and foremost, because you're going to be doing it a lot, but do it really well to the point where that's why people want to give you money for doing what you do. It's like you finding, your place. You're a motivational speaker, you're a trainer. You found your place because of your personal experience. We teach what we most need to learn. And you said, holy crap, I'm about to lose the best thing that ever happened to me. I need to figure this out. But you also realize there's so many guys that also don't figure it out. I realized, and I've thought about this a lot lately, that I have partly forgotten what it was like to not have this amazing relationship, only because we've been in it for so long. And then I'll go out in public and I'll watch other guys and I'll see how their wives treat them. And I just say, wow. Number one, if the guy had any self-respect, they wouldn't tolerate it. They'd say, oh, we're done. Sorry. I realize that you may not like me, and that's maybe why you're treating me this way. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think there's anything that I can do to change this. And if I can't change our dynamic because I love you, I got to leave, because I don't want you thinking that this is ever going to get you what you want. My kids, I tell them, throwing a fit will never get you what you want, ever. Once. It will never work. And it just might get you what you don't want. So don't do it. And that's the same lesson inside of relationship. Is the guy, I would agree, that cries and whines, oh my God, you never give me sex. It's like, wow, that's sexy. That's such a turn on. Wow, I appreciate your groveling and your begging. I just, again, do agree. Men have to get back to being men. Men have to give women the safety to be women, because I think that's the reason. Talk about the demasculization of men. I also think the masculization of women has occurred, where women are expected to be a certain way in this world that is not feminine. It's not how I don't like women like that. I have some very powerful, and I'm sure you do too, speaker friends that are women, and they are powerhouses. They're so good on the platform. Even I am in awe. And they're single. They have a hard time in relationship. And when they come to me and they say, why do I have a hard time in relationship? I said, it's twofold. Number one, a lot of men are afraid of you. I said, they just flat out don't think they can produce at your level. So they know that they'll never measure up to you. And you don't need them. And men need to be needed. We want to be useful. We want to know that we can produce something you need that you don't produce on your own. And I think a lot of women don't realize, as much as I tell my wife no from time to time, I think it's important for a woman to pretend she can't from time to time. Pretend she can't do something. So the guy says, well, let me step in there and be a man. Full well knowing she could have done it on her own, but she's got to make him useful. And I think that, as much as men, we are responsible because men are who we're talking to. I also think, though, that women don't realize the power of asking for things. Yeah. The power of my wife, the best thing she can do when I'm having a hard day, she leans over, she whispers in my ear, if anybody can handle this, you can. And I just go, okay, all right, I'm your warrior. I'll handle that. So what do you say to women? What do you, if you were invited to speak in front of a group of women, what would you teach the women to get their guys to step up? By the way, I'm loving this interview. I'm so glad you're here, and I definitely want to get you back again.
Yeah. I would tell them to send all their husbands to marriedgame.com, and I'll tell you why. Because most men, for some fucking reason, will not listen to their women when it comes to this. And then they go, dude, it happened out of nowhere. Here's a concept we teach in Married Game. It goes for guys and for gals. And it's this. It's called leaving is the leverage. And if a woman, first and foremost, needs to be, most of them talk covertly because men, we're overt, women talk covert. If she would say overtly, yo, I need you to understand this isn't working for me. I feel emotionally disconnected and I don't even want to be around here anymore. That might wake him up. And I'm fingers crossed that would wake a good portion of them up. But I'm also pretty realistic in the fact that I know that most men need this woman to almost damn near be going, I'm out the door and there's nothing you can say and do about it. That seems to be the thing that wakes most men. Unless they experience the pit, it's really hard for guys to get motivated that I've experienced. And so I would tell the women, be really, really brutally honest with your husband why you don't think you're attracted to him. And if she can use this 5-dial frame, he will start to see it and go, motherfucker, I think I get it now.
And again, to reiterate, I think I think most people know what they need to do. And I think in this circumstance, I think the challenge for most guys is they think, yeah, but I'm going to do all this and it's not going to matter anyway. She's still going to leave. And you're right. That's a possibility. Absolutely. Except if she does, she wasn't meant for you anyway. That's not who you don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with you. You know,
and
I look back.
That's the hardest thing for a guy, though, Marshall, is for him to accept, dude, I'm not going to be somewhere. It's like the self-respect thing for the guy. Like you said, this woman's treating this man this way. Doesn't he have any self-respect? And dude, the guys that come to Married Game at least have enough self-respect to invest, to learn a different way of thinking. But motherfucker, most guys don't have this self-respect to just be like, I ain't putting up with this. And it's their own bullshit that they don't have enough self-respect to stop doing too. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, for sure. Again, I quit drinking alcohol last July, and I admit it. I loved alcohol. I really did. I enjoyed my margaritas. I really loved fine wine. White Burgundies were my favorite. And I drank your share of alcohol. I drank my share of alcohol. I drank everybody's. My challenge was my work ethic is so strong. You would never, ever, 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 ever see me intoxicated if I needed to get something done. That my brain was, because I watched a lot of entertainers when I was a kid, and I was an entertainer, get on stage looped, drunk or high or whatever they were. And I said, that will never be me, because in my youth, I enjoyed pot. In my adulthood, I enjoyed alcohol. But when I was last July, my realization was I need to step my game up. All right, it's just time to step the game up. And again, I don't have any opinions. I frankly think that THC is much better on the body than alcohol ever could be. Way less damage to the body on every level. But I also believe that part of what people don't understand is you're either winning or losing. And if you're doing gummies at night on the couch and it allows you to relax and enjoy it and better on your body, God bless you. If you're one of those people that can have a couple of margaritas and that's good and you're done for the night, God bless you. I wasn't. My whole thing was I liked alcohol. And I finally said, you've had your share, you're done. So I think it's 300 days today, actually. I know it's somewhere around now. I think it's 300 days today. And it's not an accomplishment. It was just a choice. I just said, this is me. Yeah. My wife, though, on the other hand, has never drank alcohol. And she just loves the fact that I don't drink alcohol anymore, and loves the fact that I decided to give my liver a break. And so I always tell people there's a way to win that's different than how you're doing it, and it works. So first and foremost, I definitely want guys to go to your website. What website is that? We'll put it up on the screen.
It's marriedgame.com. Marriedgame.com.
Marriedgame.com. And how do they find you on social media?
At Keith Yackey on Instagram.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hey, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like our audience to know?
I want the audience to know that I understand how hopeless it feels to be in a relationship where you're like, dude, I've got kids. I don't want to get a divorce. I don't want to break up the family, but I can't go in this sexless, cold, chilly bedroom. This doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel, I feel like I'm missing out on my life. I want you to know there's hope. We've helped hundreds and hundreds of guys overcome it. There's other people out there that can help you too. We just have a very high success rate and a very effective formula that helps you not only just find hope that you can turn this around, but hope that you can take control of your life again and feel empowered doing it and not doing a bunch of mamby-pamby, lose your fucking spine bullshit to try and get your wife to want you again. There's actual real masculine ways of doing it that will make her want you. And there's hope. So that's what I want. There's hope.
Well, you're awesome. I look forward to hanging out again, having you back on the show very soon. Thanks so much for taking the time and being with us. And to every guy that's on, and it doesn't have to be somebody that's trying to save their marriage. If you care about your marriage and you realize what an important part of your life it is, then by all means, check out Keith. Go check him out on Instagram. Check out the website, and we'll see you then. Thanks so much for being on the show. God bless.
Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor.
Take care, brother. What a great show. Started off my day perfectly, getting to talk about sex. I trust it started off your day perfectly. Hey, so I guess the takeaway on all this is if you're a guy, be the best version of you. Figure out how to get back to productivity. Listen to those 5 pillars that Keith was talking about. And if you're a gal, realize that men are just, we're dogs. We're puppy dogs. We're bright 7-year-olds. We're not very smart. And you got to explain things really slowly and clearly to us to get what you want. But if you're a lady, the best way to get what you want is to learn how to communicate better to your guy. If you want to get something from your guy, the best way to get it is to learn to communicate better with them. Because ultimately, I believe if you're in a healthy relationship, like I believe we're in, I just want to please my wife. And I think that most guys in a healthy relationship, that's all. We just want you happy, except we don't know what makes you happy unless you're clear and you tell us. And the only way you can tell us is for you to be clear. I'm Marshall Silver. It's been a great show. I've had a lot of fun. It went way too fast. I look forward to having Keith back on the show. In the meantime, have an awesome day. Live life as if today is your last. Make sure that you tell people you love them, especially your significant other. And we'll see you on tomorrow's show. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Silver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.